see what happens.
I'm only laughing because as soon as I pressed the button, you did.
I don't take anything seriously. Like, I need to become a serious person. But
Never
listen,
become a serious person. Never. Just accept it.
listen, you don't
You're
even
a weirdo, I'm
understand.
a
Like,
weirdo.
I literally walked into a tree last week. I'm not joking with you. Like, I was going to my aunt's birthday party, and I was just like thinking, and I walked straight into a tree, and I literally got like this, this whole wound.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
Danny, listen, I've got a sprained jaw and a sprained neck at the moment. I did it by sneezing. I sneezed. And I was like, what is this intense pain I'm feeling right now? Sprain my jaw, sprain my neck.
It's joke time.
Ridiculous people. Embrace it. Embrace it. And I love that.
And they look at you like, are you actually okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just like dealing with life.
I love that we're having this conversation in front of everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to...
So what?
I told you you're not going to see a difference. I told you.
Oh my God.
Welcome to a Code No Black Females event. If anyone's never been to one before.
Oh my God. Like, people are
Danny, I told you I was pressing the button. I told you.
Oh, shit.
I told you I was pressing the button.
I am actually a professional person to everyone on this call.
I told you I was doing it.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do
this.
This
is a community
no.
This is a
We
community
can't.
event.
No, oh my God.
This is the perfect representation of the Code No Black Females community. We're not serious people. We're not serious people. We build tech doesn't mean we're serious people. All right.
I'm a klutz. I'm just gonna say I'm a klutz.
Let it shine.
I'm a very accident-prone person. So let's go with this. Okay.
Listen, we all make mistakes, right? All of us.
Okay.
We all do it.
Oh my God. Okay, no, listen. Okay, cool. Can everyone or can people see the first slide? That's the first.
So you can't see the chat. I can. Everyone can see the slide, and everyone's just laughing.
Oh. I can't believe you.
I told you I was pressing the button.
Okay, no, cool. Like, I'm gonna be serious now. Okay, cool. I'm gonna be a serious person now. Okay, so hello. My name is Danny, and I'm about to talk to you about what happens when we go from classical computing to quantum computing. So, first off, why is this a thing? Well, we have dealt with classical computing for a very, very long time. And classical computing is, when I say classical, it's just basically saying that we are gonna process things one bit at a time, because that's what we're used to. But back in the 1920s, there was this whole thing with people called Heisenberg and a whole lot of other physicists that said, what if things weren't A and B? What if things could be A and B at the same time? And that's when we get into this classical world. So they were saying, rather than us having a classical computer bit when you have 0 and 1 and there's nothing else, they were saying we can have 0, 1. We can have 0 and 1 at the same time. And we can have everything between 0 and 1 several times. And that was pretty much a fantasy up until like the 1970s and so on. But thing is, this is becoming a reality now. So now we have to actually think about what's happening and how that's going to change the way we program. So the purpose of this workshop is to say, review the classical or the old school way of doing things. Think about what's happening and what's going to be coming up, because everyone's talking about AI, but quantum computing is also something to consider. And then I'm going to get you guys to test out some of this thing. So just so you know who I am, my name is Danni. I love rabbits. My mother cussed me out from day one when I brought rabbits into the house. And then she renamed my rabbits and renamed or redid how I should treat them. I'm also a very, very massive fan of music. And via doing music, I got really obsessed with timing. And I know this sounds slightly violent. I'm not a violent person, but I'm a drummer. So whenever the bassist got out of tune, I had a habit of throwing drumsticks at him, which didn't go down well, but he was out of tune. Either way, that got me to this whole thing about timing and quantum, or basically timing in terms of making things very, very precise. And what that basically ended up was things that are very, very good clocks or very, very good clock measures are also very, very good quantum bits. And I'll send you all the handout for all of this. But what that basically meant is I ended up becoming a software developer who was very, very interested in time and encryption. So let's do this. For all of you lot, right? What does encryption actually mean? And please send things in the messages. But for me, encryption is basically the idea that you can speak to someone and the message, if there's ever a eavesdropper, they can't read what you're sending. Like, for me, the most basic instance of that is my aunties and my mum love to talk in native languages that they know I kind of understand. And so they can be there talking. And unless I know how to translate what they're saying, unless I know the key, I cannot understand what they're talking about. Another analogy is to say, if I was talking to a school friend, how do I talk to them without somebody else knowing about that? And I remember back in the day, this used to be things like Pig Latin or A Latin or something else. And that was what would currently be known as the key. It's to say, how has the language been encoded and sent back and forth? So, if you were to start, or if you were to go off and create a funny language with your friend, there are several steps that have to be done. First thing is you have to be like, hey, are you actually my friend? Then you have to be able to say, then your friend has to be able to say, like, you are my friend, and this is how we are going to talk to each other. And what we're basically saying is, these are the different kind of languages or these are the different kind of codes we're going to try and talk to each other. And the thing is, you have to match. You may know a different kind of setup when it comes to languages or coding. They may know one, but in this initial stage, in this handshake, you have to agree on how you're actually going to communicate. Once that's all good, you can then say, let's do this kind of handshake, like agreement. And then what we're going to do is we're going to test out a special message. So I'm going to send you a message. Can you decrypt it? They're going to send you a message, and can they decrypt it? And then once that's done, you're like, okay, we're all good. We can start sending other messages to each other. And that's how we basically communicate when it comes to everyday digital stuff. Like, every time you're like uploading a picture or going on a web browser or checking a bank app, that's how it works. You are doing this handshake that agrees to a certain way of encrypting or making the data not available to outsiders. And then you can pass messages back and forth. And that's all good up until the time you got quantum computers. So the best way I can explain quantum computers, and I explain this because I used to work on building a quantum computer via what we just call ions or ion traps. And I wasted a hell of a lot of my younger years that will never be back. But it was fun. It was still fun. But basically, when you think of like classical computers, you're like, okay, they can do something that has a very, very certain outcome. They can compute things that says, what is your age? A, B, and C. When it comes to things like weather, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have experienced the trouble when it comes to weather forecasts, because weather forecasts are very probabilistic. There are so many different outcomes when it comes to weather, that, and also when it comes to medicine as well. And that's what quantum computers are very, very good at. They're very, very good at figuring out what the probability of something is. And so they become very, very good at things like encryption, but they become very, very bad at things like encryption, because they can create a whole environment where it's very, very hard to try and decrypt a different message. But they can also be very, very good at decrypting messages when it comes to the classical world. And I'm not going to go into that now because that's not the purpose, but that is part of the handout that I'm going to send out to everyone. And so let's not even go into half of this stuff, actually. Let's just go into the practice time. So there are companies and systems who've already made their world what we call post-quantum secure. So you've got a world where we've got classical systems where everything is based on classical encryption. And then you've also got other, and the classical encryption can be broken by quantum systems. And then you've also got other people and other mechanisms who are now building their servers to make them quantum or post-quantum secure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just share an exercise with you all. I'm hoping everyone has like a 1 second. What was everyone looking at previously?
Your slides.
Okay, sweet. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share a Jupyter notebook with everyone in the slides, just to go through the differences between someone that has a classical server and somebody who has got a post-quantum server. And the idea about that is to see what would your company have to do, or what would you have to do to make yourself post-quantum secure. So let me just do this now. And if anyone has any issues, just put that in the chat as well. So the first exercise, I will go through the first exercise with you. And then the second exercise, yeah, we got time. Like the next session isn't until 9 o'clock. So the second exercise, I am hoping to God you get the time to do that. So could people just say in the chat when they are able to log on to the first exercise, please? Cool. So basically, this first exercise is doing a handshake. And so let me just go back to the previous slides I had. This first exercise is being able to say, when we do this handshake, what actually happens? Because we ideally want this handshake to be quick and easy, because it's just setting up the practice for us to be able to send information back and forth. So let's check out what happens when we have a classical.
Danni,
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing your screen so you can demo it with us?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Let's do this in the window. Cool. So is everyone seeing the slides?
Yeah, we can see the slides.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the slides and I'm going to talk through the first exercise. So, has everyone been able to log on to the first exercise? Or basically, has everyone been able to log on to the Jupyter notebook? If you haven't, don't worry, because I can run through this here very easily. And what I will do is just talk everyone through it. So, first off, the very first thing you need to do is open two terminals. The first terminal is to be able to see.
Danni, sorry, we can only see the tab with your slide.
Okay, cool. Where's the broadcast? Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing for a second and I'm going to reshare. So stop sharing. Apologies for that. Okay, so can everyone now see the slide and a terminal that I'm just moving around?
We can see the slide only.
You can't see the terminal. Okay. Okay. Has anyone been able to connect to Jupyter Notebook?
There's a couple of people.
Okay, sweet. Okay, good. So when you've connected to Jupyter Notebook, can you go to the first, there's like a first exercise where it says TCP dump. Can people access that? Okay, let me just, you know how life kind of throws you a curveball. Let me just try and demo stuff for you. So give me 1 minute. I'm going to try and get my terminal online. But while I do that, what is the background of everyone? That would be a very good thing to know. Or why are you interested in quantum computation or encryption? That would be a really good thing to know as well.
Well, I'll tell you, right? This is such a ridiculous reason, but I had to study encryption and cryptography at uni, and it jarred me so much. I was like, I can't wait for the day that someone breaks this. To know that it can be broken, I'm like, yes. So it's a bit, I can't think of the word. I'm just kind of glad that people don't really have to study cryptography ever again.
No, cryptography is mental because, like, it's the way you have to. Cryptography is mental because the way you have to, like, a lot of it is behind the maths. So a lot of it, I would say, is behind the maths in terms of being able to make things very, very difficult to understand when you have the final solution, but you don't have how you started. Because the thing is, it's like, if you do like 2 times 3 or 5 times 4 or all of that stuff, you can get a solution. And more often than not, you can work back to it. When it comes to encryption, they're not talking about 2 times 3 or 3 times. They're talking like 239 times 560.
Exactly. And I had to study and do it literally pen and paper. So there was a time in my life where I could literally like calculate binary for people. You simply pass it to me and I could work it out for you because it was drummed into me. And the day that I was able to figure it, I was so happy.
Exactly, because it's just such it is actually mental how it goes. Let me see. So second thing I'm going to do, did I share the Jupyter notebook with everyone?
You did.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so let's do the next thing. Okay, so if I've shared the Jupyter notebook with everyone, could everyone install TCP dump on their computers? And the instructions for that are in the Jupyter notebook. And then can anyone then tell me if they see a terminal on my screen share?
No, we can't see the terminal yet.
Okay. Okay, so what can everyone see at the moment?
Your slide.
Sweet. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to just do, so basically the Jupyter notebooks takes you through everything you need to do. The first thing that the Jupyter notebooks will show you is how to do a TCP dump. And what I mean by that is, if you have a look on the slide, the review of classical cryptography protocols, what it will do is it will show you me and my childhood friend have agreed to have a secret language. And then my childhood friends has told me we can have a secret language, but these are the different encodings I'm going to do. So I'm going to do Pig Latin. I'm going to do, I don't even know, like what. I don't even know. Like, I remember Pig Latin as a child, but I don't even know the very different languages children used to have. I'm probably showing my age. But either way, what we're saying is when you have all of that, you can actually look on the network and you can connect to a network. And I think in those Jupyter notebooks, I specifically chose Coding Black Females. No shade to Coding Black Females, but Coding Black Females uses the classical version of a handshake. And the idea was that you're supposed to go and use TCP dump, which is a tool where you can have a look at what's happening with networks and understand what's happening with the networks. And if you go and use that, you will be able to see that there are certain package sizes when it comes to the whole classical encryption things. And that's a very important thing, because when we're dealing with networks and when we're dealing with processing, we always have to keep in mind how many bytes are being sent back and forth. So the next part of that Jupyter notebook was to say, you've gone and had a look at a classical server, then go and have a look at a server that is post-quantum protected. And if you had done that, you would have then have seen that there is a very big difference between the sizes of data when it comes to a classical encryption process versus a quantum encryption process. So then I'm just going to ask you now, and feel free to unmute yourselves or put it in the chat. How does that impact your current software infrastructure? Because you know a threat is coming. How long is this threat going to be in practice? And also, what can you do now to prevent that threat? But what will it cost you? And I'm asking this specifically in terms of byte sizes or data sizes. Or either way, does anyone just have any questions?
I'm looking at this output for the post-quantum, and I'm like, I'm seeing a lot of energy consumption, a lot of computing processing power that's going to be needed for this. Because
that overhead is going to be crazy.
It's huge. That's a lot more bytes that need to be done in every byte. In programming, we're taught to, like, every character is the reason why we write things so shorthand when we're coding, because every character we write is so many bits and bytes to it. So it all adds up to more computing power. And so looking at that, I'm just seeing energy consumption. A lot of processing power is going to be needed for this.
And that's the thing. And that is exactly the thing, because what's going to happen, or what needs to be done in terms of system architecture,
it's going to completely overhaul it. And I'm thinking, like, the first one that came to mind was like the finance sector. A lot of it's already using quite legacy architecture as it is, because it needs financial sector is quite fragile, but it has to be, because there's so many restrictions around it. And even that latency, if you can go back to your previous slide.
Yes, yeah.
That latency increase can cause a lot of issues in the financial sector.
And this is the thing. So at the moment, I think, as a previous speaker said today, I think it was Bishola, she was saying a lot of the focus at the moment is to do with AI. But this is another threat that we need to consider when it comes to computing, because the thing is there's this whole idea when it comes to quantum computers where, and I think I said this to you before, like, when it comes to quantum computers versus classical computers, you got to think of it in terms of the processing power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you could have like one kid who is jumping in a rope, and that would be classical, because they're either gonna make the skip or they're not. And then you could also say we've got quantum computation, and we've got like it's not triplets. I always forget this. Not triplets, it's quads, right? And they can also be jumping in a skip rope, and you can be like, oh, they're all identical and they've all got the same thing. But when you're running that rope, every now and again, one of them is going to get cancelled out because they couldn't keep in time. So the thing is, there's two ways of thinking about this. When it comes to, have I got this? When it comes to the future of computing, you have got the AI channel and you've got the quantum computing channel, and they're going to mix as well at one point. They're going to mix at one point. But what you have to understand is, at the same time, when you're thinking about how to integrate LMMs in your architecture, you also need to be thinking about how to integrate the idea of post-quantum, how do I say this? Post-quantum algorithms in your architecture. And when it comes to the post-quantum algorithms, they're a lot bigger than the classical ones. So what does that mean in terms of you as a developer? and also in terms of the company you're working at. I apologize because I did intend to do a live demo, but that was not possible. But this is the timeline, or this is the most accepted timeline when it comes to integration and quantum computation. Because the thing is, at the moment, they're like, we're not going to get a real quantum computer for, I don't know, 20, 15 years. But the migration practice is 15 years. So that's an important thing to consider. If anyone really cares about this or is interested, that is my LinkedIn. So you can, just share, just I guess go on the LinkedIn. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Go for it.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, what you're saying is we all have a lot of work to do, and none of us should plan retirement anytime in the next 20 years.
No, because the thing is, like, okay, the way I say it is like, and I'm probably giving away my age, but I remember working on actually trying to build a quantum computer from ions. And I know that sounds mental, but I remember, like, back in the day, my life was all about researching how can we build a quantum computer based on different things. And I remember quitting because I was like, nah, this stuff isn't real. This stuff is not going to work. And then, like, what, 10 years ago, AWS came out with an ion trap quantum computer. And I was like, shit, sorry. That was what I was working on back in the day. I was like, oh my God, they've actually made this work. So the thing is that it may appear like this whole abstract idea, but people are working on it to make it a reality. And the thing is, for me personally, so where this whole interest comes from is like, I have sisters and I love my sisters, but I will be damned if my sisters can ever access my bank accounts and any of that stuff because I don't trust them that much. And the thing is when it comes to things like quantum computing, it can break current encryption. Right. And I know that's not necessarily a current thing, but that's something that is going to happen by 2030 at the current standard. And I'm like, I love my sisters, but I don't trust them with my bank account.
I know Google's investing a hell of a lot of money.
A
lot of money into quantum. And I know for blockchain code, there's a lot of concern about quantum.
And this is the thing. So you got like AWS started it way back, and they've actually got a version of a quantum computer. And the reason I say it's a version of a quantum computer is because that computer cannot run all the processes that you would expect it to be able to run. But given like Google's money and AWS's money, I don't feel that that's far off. Like, you've got people focused on it. And I love the idea of quantum computation because it has a lot of benefits in terms of weather and medicine. And that might sound strange, but when you're talking about weather, you're talking about climate change.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many, like, I'm from South Sudan, and like there's this statistic that South Sudan has all this arable land, but only 6% of it is actually being used for farming because they cannot deal with the weather. They cannot understand the weather patterns, the floods, all of that stuff. And I'm like, and this is the thing, quantum computation can or has the ability to deal with all the different statistics when it comes to weather, to be able to get a better answer. And then the other side is when it comes to medicine. And we all know that currently medicine is very much based on a Western standard of human biology. And quantum computation gives us the ability to understand medicine in other biologies, which would be game changing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my pet project.
So it's sounding like you're not just interested in quantum because of the technology behind it, but based on like real world use cases that you know could be solved and used with quantum as well, which is amazing.
No, definitely. Like in my world, like my mum back in South Sudan has like a farm with like different kind of, like, okra and all of those different things. And I'm like, I remember her okra soup when I was a kid, and I'm like, yeah, so it's kind of that stuff. And then when it comes to the medical side of it, it's like I've had family members who have, what is it? Do you know, have you ever had, or if you've ever had somebody who has it's not psoriasis, eczema, right? And everyone in a Western world, there is a certain visual when it comes to what eczema is.
Yeah.
But what I would love to see is the different probabilities of what eczema looks like on different skin tones, or psoriasis, or all of those different things.
And quantum can help with that.
I think so, yes.
That's really cool. That's really cool. It's almost,
so yes, that's just that.
It's sounding like let's break this current, let's call it what it is, a Western way of viewing the world and using the world. Let's break it up and start it again to actually be accessible to everyone, like the global majority, not just the small Western superpowers.
Yeah, because that's the thing, because it's like when you're trying to, so this is the thing, it's like when you're trying to solve, or when they are trying to solve a problem, they're trying to solve one problem at a time in one preset. And that's the whole deterministic side. But when you're trying to solve a problem, when it can lead to many different solutions for different people, I think this has much more benefit. What the consequences of that is, and like I alluded to when it came to Cloudflare, is people or institutions will have to change their infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And they will have to become, or they will have to be able to deal with larger, they will have to change their bandwidth, basically, because they will have to deal with larger handshakes and all that stuff. But it's good because at the same time that they are embracing the different probabilities with quantum computation, they will also be keeping data safe.
Yeah.
And that's what that's my main thing, is that do the whole probability stuff, do the whole expansion, but make sure you keep people's data safe.
I hear that. Now you got me thinking. We do have some questions. So now I'm like, let's look at the questions. So we have a question from Teresa, who says, it's quite interesting as with migration of population, they eventually mix, so this westernized healthcare way of seeing things will probably evolve, and I see how quantum computing might be powerful in the future.
So, one of my other interests is not so much it's migration, but it's how do they phrase it? It's not it's not unexpected immigration. It's like God, I can't remember what they call it. So you've got like normal migration when people are just moving. I can't remember but you also have migration due to weather, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go back to South Sudan because that's just what I know. So basically, it's like if you get a flood in a certain area, then people will migrate from that area to another area. And the thing is, that will cause war. There's no other way of saying it. It will cause war and conflict. And so when I was working with some people, and the whole basis was to try and say, what is that word? I'm just going to call it irregular migration. So you've got like normal migration when people will move from because of certain patterns, but you've got irregular migration, and the irregular migration is what causes problems, because it means resources from the people that were in one area are getting drained and stuff like that. So I cannot say for sure, but if we can use quantum computation to get a better idea of weather forecasts, we can get a better idea of when people might do unexpected migration because the area has been flooded, and there is a direct link between unexpected migration, and conflict in certain areas.
You're gonna hate me. I'm gonna be that annoying person because that's my mic drop moment. Because the day's actually ending now. This stage is closing, and I've been told to send everyone over to the
we gotta go.
Common for all tracks stage. I'm so sorry, everyone. I hate to be that person because we could talk about this for a long time. Danni, would you come back and do this again?
Come back where?
To another CBF event and talk about quantum. We'll give you some.
I love you people.
We'll give you some more airtime. It'll be like an evening with Danni.
I love you people.
All right,
I'll come back. But yeah, no. I'm sorry to everyone who couldn't see me do the live demo as well. But everything that you needed for this session, plus extension material, is in the Jupyter notebook. And take a screenshot of that LinkedIn thing. And if you have any issues, just let me know. And I will be more than happy to walk you through it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Danni. That was wonderful. And definitely we're gonna do an evening with Danni. You let us know when you've got some time available. And we'll get together.
Cool. Let's go. So where are we going to?
We're all going to the Common for All Tracks stage. So this is the last talk on this stage. It's the end of the day for all of us. It's been a fun day.
Okay.
I hope you've all made it.
It has been a good day. No, it has been a good day. So I'm like, yeah, it's been a good day.